let's begin. Well, happy Victory Day, I tell you. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand the question. So we look at analysing that. And we look at a simple structure to plan your essay. And then we look at paraphrasing, different techniques you can do. And then we look at some good linking expressions to develop your answer, and you can make concessions. And then we look at the vocabulary to discuss business and economics. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is look at the question and see what the question is asking us to do. Okay, so read the question. Okay. So we need to identify each part. So we'd underline the key words. So what do you think are the key words in the question? What do you think are the key words in this question? Developing countries. What else? Large activities, yeah. Large corporations benefit, activities of multinationals, economies, good. Okay, harmful, yeah. Developing countries. And what else have we got? So think about the question itself. Yeah, economies, economics, good, good, good. Yeah, so discuss both views. So it's important that you do that. Some students may just discuss one side of the question, therefore it's going to affect your score negatively, all right? So, yeah, we've got large multinational corporations, benefit, economies, developing countries, harmful, and then we said discuss both views, and don't forget to give your opinion. So yeah, that's good, pass you. So then you have to decide on your overall response. So what do you think about this? So first of all, how do you think what are the benefits of these large multinational companies? What do you think are the benefits? Okay, higher salaries, Merlin opportunities, good. Bring employment, yeah, good. Job opportunities, yeah, good. Yeah. Health compensation, yeah. New technology, yeah. Okay. Large scale production. Okay, some good ideas there, guys. So what about harmful? What are the, the downsides? Moses, improve the economy, yeah. So how are they harmful? Pollution, yeah. Exploitation, okay, good. Justice, very good. Environmental pollution, overall growth. Yeah, good point. Growth of the area of the country they're in. Capitalism, okay. Chaha, death of local businesses, yeah. Local product, patchy, vanishes, yeah, good. Very good. Okay, so let's have a look. So we said beneficial, create jobs, and then improved wages, higher salary. And then we said threatens local businesses. Okay, so that's a bit of a nightmare for them. And then Vimy creates a monopoly cutthroat competition. Okay, good ideas. So we got some good vocabulary coming through here. So this is good. Well done, guys. Okay, and then someone mentioned, I think, unfair competition. Yeah, so good. Well done. So we'll look at a simple structure for you. So introduction. So what are we going to do with the question? Yeah, well done. MG, yeah, good. Athlete, good. So we'll paraphrase the question. What are we going to have as our last sentence? Yeah, good. Very good. So we're going to have a thesis statement. Good. Okay. So what will we have at the beginning of our body paragraphs? Topic sentence, very good. And then what will we give? Support, okay. And how can we do that? Okay, we'll explain. And then give examples, okay, or an example. Good. And then make a counter, or what can we call that, Amrita? Yeah, Joanna, very good. So we'll make a concession. And then our conclusion. So what are we going to do there? Yeah, summarize. Okay. And then, very good. At the end, we'll what? Okay, good. Give an opinion. Okay, good. Very good. Right. So let's have a look. So how can we paraphrase the introduction? What can we do? What can we do to paraphrase? Synonyms, yeah. What else can we do? Voice, yeah, good. I can see some people have been before. Yeah, good. So change the voice. Word order, word forms, very good. So we've got voice, synonyms, word form, and word order. Good. So let's have a look at a few ways we can do that. So some people believe that. So what would go in the gap there? MG, good. Yeah, good. So often argued that. It is widely. MG, good. Pachu, good. Yeah, good. Ferraz. And then it is commonly. Okay. Okay, lots of good answers coming through. Suggested. Yeah. Good, good, good. Right. Activities. So how would you paraphrase that? Actions, okay. Operations, okay. Actions, okay. Of So large, big, huge. Okay, good, very good. Okay, multinational. Transnational, global, okay, very good. Okay, corporations. Okay, good. Okay, oops, just a sec, I just need to get in the chat box. That's it, good, yeah. Companies, okay. Right, benefit. Think of another word for benefit. Okay, well, we can say help, okay. Right, developing countries, okay. So, what are we going to change that to? Nations, all right, yeah, good. So, it's widely believed that multi-corporations are, so benefit. So, what are you going to change that to? Beneficial, okay. Economies of developing countries, and then large multinational corporations. So if anyone has any questions, guys, if you just put them in the Q&A box and then we'll get through them after the presentation, okay? So it's commonly suggested that companies which are multinational and then benefit, so the economies of developing countries, okay? How would you change that? Okay, good. Countries with developing economies. So you can see there's 3 different ways we could have done that at the beginning. Okay, so we'll stay with this one. So other people take the opposite view and feel that. So how do you think you might change this? Benj, okay, good. Yeah, good. So while, got a nice sentence connector in there. Others believe. And then these large multinationals are generally harmful. So we'll go back to companies have a negative effect, okay? Yeah, good, Amrita. Yeah, good. Very good. So, thesis statement. How are you going to begin your thesis statement? How will you begin your thesis statement? Yeah, I believe, in my opinion, good. So, in my opinion, so, and then we'll use some linking words here. So, multinational companies have harmful impacts. So, what linking word would you put in the gap there? Okay, good. Yeah. Overall, yeah. Okay, some good vocabulary coming through. So obviously, remember, this is an example. We're putting together an example. You could do it another way if you like. This is just one way of doing things. So there's a lot of vocabulary that you've given me that would go in the gaps. So well done. So let's have a look at body paragraph A. So we need a topic sentence. So we'll use a nice phrase there, nice linking expression, all right? So a growing body of research suggests, okay, good. And then one key benefit is that, we'll use another one, international investment, help to create job. So what we're going to put in there, some of you have already given me this vocabulary. Opportunities, okay, good, good, good. Well done. So put that in for you. And then we'll explain. Okay. So some of you already mentioned this. So what's going to go into the gap there? Yeah, good. Increase in wages. Very good. So we'll give an example here. Okay, Patchy, that's very good. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read all of that, but that looks pretty good. Okay. So your example could be varied for this. It could be based in your own country or some knowledge that you have. So taking Turkey as an example. All right. Okay. Good. Just trying to, that's it. So 15% more than of local companies. Okay. Yeah, good. Very good. Nugent, yeah, good. And then we'll make a concession. So think about the word you would use. So we've got while. Okay. And then it is clear that companies can, international companies can, to a country's development. So what would we put in the gap? Patchy, it's probably better you do put a concession sentence in there. Yeah. It shows good control of language if you do that. Okay, contribute to a country's development. So we've got some good linking expressions here. A growing body of research suggests. Now, a lot of people put in their essays, a recent study by or recent research, but then you have to reference where that information comes from. But if you use a growing body of research, you're talking about lots of research, so that's not necessary. And then we've got one key benefit, taking Turkey as an example while it's clear. And then look at the verb forms. So we've got present simple there for the facts. Earn is, okay. And then if we look at modals also for the possible effect, can help, yeah, can contribute, okay. So a good range of, you know, vocabulary there, some good collocations. So we'll have a look at those maybe at the end. So vocabulary, so a positive effect, and then international investment, job opportunities, economic health. So we've got some good collocations there. So paragraph B, so we all mentioned, or most of you mentioned, that threatens local businesses and unfair competition. So we need our topic sentence. So we show a contrast with however there. Okay. Now also negative, so what you're going to put in the gap there. You could use that, Amrita, that would also work. So we're showing a contrast, so there's a number of different words you could use. Effects, aspects, consequences, yeah, impacts. Okay, good. One important issue is that, oh, I put that in for you, my mouse is very sensitive. Multinational companies can take customers from local companies, all right? So we need to explain, give an explanation. This means that. So what are you going to put in the gap there? Oops, just a sec. There we are. Likely to what? What is likely to happen there? Shut, yeah. What else? Any other words? Let's have a look. There's a little bit of a delay. Okay. Pre-act, yeah. So we can say close down. Good. So we'll give an example. So how are you going to introduce an example? What would you use? So what would you use? Yeah, okay. G, good. Jonas, yeah, okay. There we go. And then change such as, so we need to give some large change. So there's Coca-Cola. Can you think of another one? Think about food. Neo, good. Yeah, Nike is a good example. KFC. Kraft, okay. Domino's, yeah. So we'll use McDonald's. So some good examples coming in. So what we're going to put in the gap there? What for advertising? Mustafa, yeah, good. Neo, good. Good, good, good. Gaia, yeah. So budget. And then what are we going to put in the next gap? So increase their market. So think about the collocation for that. So if you buy a cake, you get what? Yeah. Rudvik, good. So we would say market share. And then we'll make a concession. Okay. Okay, that's it. Although competition is often seen as a key something of economic growth. So what are we going to put in there? Think about what you do in a car. Think of the word form. Yeah, almost. Mustafa, think about the word form. Okay, driver of economic growth. It can be argued that these large companies have an unfair something over small businesses. So what are you going to put in there? Good, Moses. Yeah, very good. Okay. So we'd say unfair advantage over small businesses, which can lead to the formation of. Now, a few of you gave me this vocabulary before when we were discussing it in the plan. Jonas, yeah. So we pluralize that, so because there could be more than one. So monopolies, that means these big companies control the market, so it doesn't leave a lot else for anyone else. Okay. Good. So we'll have a look at it again. Good linking expressions, however, so you did give me some other good examples, so that's good. Yeah, one important issue is that this means that, for instance, such as we've got although, it can be argued that, okay, so which can lead to some good linking expressions there. So once we finish the conclusion, you can have a look at the whole essay. Verb forms, so we've got present simple there for facts, are likely to, or have a much smaller, often seen as, okay. And then modals for possible effect, okay, can lead to, can take. Good. So negative impacts, we've got collocation there. Global change, larger budget, market share, economic growth, key driver, good collocations, formation of monopolies. So let's have a look at our conclusion. So we're going to summarize the main points. Okay, let's have a look. Just move this chat box so I can see. Right. Yeah, Patchy, that's fine. So in conclusion, yeah, you could also use to sum up. While multinationals can benefit developing to creating jobs, they can also threaten local businesses. Give opinion. What would you put there in your conclusion? Yeah, Jonas, Priyank, yeah, good. In my opinion, good. So, despite having some negatives, I believe, so again, we're highlighting what you think are generally beneficial, and then we'll put our final comment. So how are you going to put your final comment? So how would you put your final comment in there? I wouldn't use reckon, it's not really very formal. Yeah. So yeah, avoid using that. Let's have a look. However, I would argue that government should regulate impact in order to protect and support local businesses. So someone gave me a sentence there that was very similar, so well done. I didn't catch the name there. So we've summarized nicely and we've given our final comment on the topic, okay? So that's what you want to be doing, summarizing and then giving your final comment on the topic, okay? So it's optional if you, let me just go back there. It's optional if you put a recommendation on there, but that's up to you, okay? You don't have to put that on, but you have to make sure that when you're writing that your conclusion is more than one sentence. It's really important that you do that, okay? Right. So some exam tips. So you can have a look at the whole essay there. So always make a plan when you're writing, okay? So you wouldn't get in a car if you were driving somewhere without, well, nowadays you'd use a sat nav, but you would need to know where you're going, how you're going to get there. Similar with writing. You need to know what you're going to write, what you're going to put in each body paragraph, and how you're going to summarize. So don't worry too much about counting your words. So you could count lines instead if you want to do that, rather than words. Practice with an official IELTS answer paper. So you can download off the IELTS website, so where they've got examples on there, you can download the official answer paper, although nowadays people are taking the computerized test. And then spend 2 minutes to check your grammar and spelling. So make sure you leave time to edit. It's really, really important. All right. So it's very, very important to do that. And then have a look at a range of topics and question types also, because you'll probably find that you've got more vocabulary for some questions than you have for others. So for example, you might have a lot of vocabulary for, let's say, environment, but you might not have a lot of vocab for, I don't know, social problems, something like that, okay? So, okay. So, if you have any questions, guys, if you just put them in the Q&A box, because obviously if a lot of people are asking questions in the chat box, then it's very easy for me to miss them, okay? So if you go to the top of the screen, and then the screen will come down the Q&A, and then you can put the questions in there. It's much easier for me to answer them. Okay, so we look at questions. Let's have a look in a minute. What I'll do first is I've put some links in the chat box for you. Okay, now they were right at the beginning. Now I'm just trying to move my chat box over so I can see what's going on. Is it going to move for me? So have a look at those links, and also some of the services that we provide also would certainly help some people with their preparation. So you could have your speaking evaluated by one of our very experienced teachers or assessors, okay? And they can give you an approximate band score, and they can give you advice on what you need to improve on. So if I can get to the beginning of the chat box, I can copy those links in the chat box for you, and then you can copy and paste them straight over. So just give me a little minute to do that for you. Okay. So let's have a look. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to work. So, right, here we are. I'll copy these links into the chat box if you didn't see them before. and then I'll come around and answer your questions, all right? All right, this will let me copy and paste. Here we go. All right, there's those links. If you want to copy and paste them somewhere, okay, you can, and look at some of the other services that we can provide to help you prepare for the test, because you don't want to be wasting a lot of money taking many tests. It's a good idea to be evaluated and find out which areas you need to improve on, if you need to improve on any. Okay, guys, just check the time and then we'll come and have a look at some of your questions. So, Ali says, how can we identify the core of the question? Well, it's about just analyzing the question really, Ali, and you know, what is the question asking you to do? So read the question carefully. So in that instance, it was asking you to discuss both views and give your opinion. Another was going to be, to what extent do you agree or disagree, or what are the advantages and disadvantages? And then you just have to brainstorm for your ideas, okay? So, okay. Now, I'm just seeing Pachu there, question in the chat box. How can we identify task response sentences? It's overall response, Pachu. Yeah, so it's overall a response to the essay. So has the topic, or has it been expanded? So in that example, you notice we gave an explanation and concession. So that was also good to expand the answer. Yeah. So basically, it's the overall task response. Yeah. Shane, the recording should go to our YouTube channel, so you can review our YouTube channel. Okay. So Jonas says, is it beneficial? Is it not beneficial to take a stand in the introduction paragraph to share the view or idea we are supporting? Yes, we did actually do that there, Jonas. So we did have a stance, yeah. So that's fine. Naniti says, what is voice? So voice is, for example, a passive voice. So if we talk about the present passive, so is placed, is seated. So you use the past participle, yeah, of the word plus ed. So that is what's talked about when we use voice, okay? Right, Anastasia. So guys, remember, put your questions in the Q&A box and I'll try and come to them. All right, we've got a lot of questions today. Anastasia says, do you have any suggestions on how to get a 7 or 7.5? Well, really, what happens is, Anastasia, if you have a good foundation in writing, that means you can respond well to the task and you have a good range of vocabulary, good cohesion, using a good range of, you know, linking expressions and things like that. And you can use collocations well, then you're going to get a high score. What usually happens is students have a good foundation, but it's just the lexis or vocabulary errors and grammar errors that are letting them down. So that's when it takes time to go through your essays and, you know, to look at the errors you're making. Yeah. So, Amrita, commonly suggested, well, it means people often suggest that. So that's why we could use that. Omar says, when we paraphrase the question, do we have to change every word? No, you don't. So you can change the word form and you can use some of the words from the question prompt, but you can't use all of them. Okay? So if you notice in some of the examples, we did use the same vocabulary. So you can use some, but the reason we say paraphrase is because you can't just use the whole question prompt. Okay, so you change things up. Okay. Noor says, if I don't have a good range of vocabulary, how can I improve my score within 2 to 3 weeks? Ooh, it's it's not easy to improve your vocabulary in 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of students tend to try and memorize vocabulary, but the thing with that is you can probably only remember 6 to 8 words a day. So it's really, really difficult. So the main thing you have to do is make sure you give yourself long enough to improve your vocabulary and long enough to prepare for the test. Because what tends to happen is a lot of students don't actually give themselves long enough to prepare. Yeah. So you need a lot of time to prepare if you're looking for the higher scores. Yeah, but like I said, it's a good idea to be assessed. So have your speaking assessed or your writing assessed and get some feedback on an approximate score that you're likely to get in the test, and that'll show you where your weaknesses are, if you have any. Okay. Rahul says, how to understand that I've written just over 250 words and max of 280 words, and also how to generate a wide range of synonyms, idioms, and connecting words in a limited time. Well, similar to the last answer I gave there, if you go onto the internet, Rahul, and if you put in academic collocations, and then you will get a list of academic collocations. Also, you can use the academic word list. That will help you. And if you just Google connecting words, you know, you should get some, you know, connecting words. Also, we've got lots of example answers on our website, so you can check that out as well. Have a look at the topics and have a look and see what vocabulary you could use off those. Anonymous. What if I know nothing about economy, basically, and can't come up with an example? Well, it's better to put something rather than nothing. I have had scripts when I was working in Beijing where people have written nothing, or I'm really sorry, examiner, I don't know anything about the topic. Yeah. So it's better to write something rather than nothing. At least you've attempted the task. Okay. Hector says, what do you mean by having vocabulary? Oh, you're talking to Abdullah. So I think he means range of vocabulary. Can I use new journal research study? You can, Esther, if you refer to the source. If you notice there, we used a large body of evidence suggests. That's good because we don't have to refer to any source. But if you just say, a recent study has shown, we have to show where that information came from. So a recent study by Cambridge University has shown, yeah, so, you know, but you have to be careful. So use, you know, a growing body of evidence suggests. That's much better. Okay. Anastasia said, what does it mean to make a concession? So you're showing both sides, yeah? So you could even say, for example, let's see, concede, let me give you an example sentence. So you can actually use I concede. So let's say television. You could say, I concede that television does have some negative effects on people, such as spending too many hours watching television, and it wastes time. But overall, I think television can be an good educational tool if the correct programs or watched, something like that. Yeah. Amrita says, why do we need to give a concession? Yeah. So Rowana just answered your question for Amrita. It just expands your answer, Amrita. So it's a good way of expanding your answer and showing the examiner that you've got good control of the language. Okay. Yina says, my weakness is improper use of articles like at, well, like the. Well, at is not an article, so you've got the and an and at. Go onto the internet, Yina, and Google how to use articles, and you'll get some good information on how you can do that. Okay, just a sec. I'll come back to that. All right. So I'll go back to the example for you, and you can have a look at it. Okay, while I continue to answer questions. Okay. Can I make up a model study with results to support my statement just for the purpose of demonstrating writing skills? You can, Omar, as long as you refer to the source of the information, as I mentioned earlier. If you said a recent study has shown by, Leeds University has shown that 85% of whatever the case may be. Anastasia, just get a drink of water. How can we do writing task 2 if we're not familiar with the topic? So that's really down to preparation, Anastasia. Yeah, so if you look at the tips we've got there, become familiar with a range of question types and topics. Also, it's good for you to read in English, okay? So the IELTS Task 2 questions are always related to current events, so what's happening in the world around us. So it's a good idea to read the news and be aware of what's happening around you, okay? So Rajat wants the question prompt again. Okay, just give me a second. I'll do that for you. Just a second. All right, okay. There we go. Question prompt. Okay, right, let me answer your questions. Yeah, you can take a stand, Jonas, as I mentioned before. Yeah, it's fine to take a stance. Anonymous, I think I've answered that question. Yeah, using staying in example. They won't check. If the examiner's got 100 scripts, that means task 1 and task 2, they're not going to be checking. But if it's something that's being memorized, or a lot of schools have been teaching it, then I'd be very careful, okay? Because when I worked in China, a lot of students memorize standard chunks of language for the task 2, and it means the examiners see this information all of the time, so we know it's memorized, okay? Justice Noor. My exam's on the 4th of January. I don't have time to practice a lot. I need at least, what's your recommendation? Well, you don't have a lot of time. I would go through some of the topics and become familiar with ones you find most difficult, Noor. And if you're talking about speaking, then I would practice speaking out loud, record yourself, play it back, see what, see what errors you're making, and then do listening and reading practice tests. So you've only got a couple of weeks really. So that's what I would do. Daisy, if you search through the chat box and Tony, you'll see the links. Okay, you'll see the links for the where you can watch them again on our YouTube channel. So just scroll through. I can actually give you them again. Just give me a second and I will put that slide on for you, okay? So let me just go down. You can copy the links from the chat box or you can have a look at our YouTube channel, okay? Hashi says, is it a good idea to learn sentence structure from a template? I would have, yeah, I mean, you can look at a template and look at the structure, but what I would avoid doing is use memorized phrases, because that's what a lot of students do. And as I mentioned earlier, then, you know, the IELTS examiners are likely to know they're memorized because lots of students will be doing that. There you go. So there are the links, so you can check those out. All right. Anonymous, can we replace however by secondly? Well, secondly, no, because you're adding an additional idea. Yeah. So you need to use a word that's going to show a contrast. Yeah. Rather than a word that's going to use, you're going to use to add additional information. Gio or Gio, is it enough to write our opinion in the conclusion instead of writing the third paragraph? You can do both, actually. Both are fine. Yeah. So Firas, that's also answering your question. You can actually use a separate paragraph or you can put it in at the end. Both are fine. Yeah. Is it good? So Priyank says, if we write 5 paragraphs or 4, it depends on what the topic is. So for example, if you've got a causes, effect, solutions, then you would write 5 paragraphs. Yeah. The question itself will basically tell you how many paragraphs you can write, really. Ellie, why is it bad to have only 1 sentence in the conclusion? Because it's too short. So it will affect your score for cohesion. So it's much better to have at least 2. Okay. Atilia, how does the vocabulary and concessions affect my essay? Well, it's going to improve your score because you're showing how good or the control you have over English and your writing ability. So that will improve your score. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look. Anonymous, if we don't use more grammar and write with limited keywords, would we get a good band score? No. Simple vocabulary is going to limit you to around a 6. Okay? So the better your vocabulary, your range and accuracy are going to increase your score. So if you're looking at simple vocabulary, but you still manage to answer the question, then it's probably going to limit you to a 6 for lexis and grammar. Okay. Janet, can I write over 250 words? Yes. Most often people are going to write more than 250 words, so don't worry about that. You're not going to be penalized if you do that. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay. I think I've answered your question, Firaz. Let's have a look. Hi, Waleed. Is it okay to give my opinion in the introduction? Yeah, that's fine. Not a problem at all. So a thesis statement is telling the reader exactly what you're going to write about in your essay. Merlin says, how does the component in academic differ? So, well, it's slightly different. So if you have a look at some of our other webinars, we've also discussed general training. So for the task 1, you have to write different kinds of letter. And the task 2, you still have to write an essay, but it's going to be less complex, okay? So probably last question, just check the time. So Rakesh says, I'm a beginner in IELTS, please suggest how to boost the score. Okay, so what I would do is have a look at our website. So we've got a lot of materials on there. So have a look at them, have a look at some of the, example answers. Practice speaking as much as possible, yeah, and develop your range of vocabulary, okay? So read newspapers, find out what's happening, do some practice tests, listening and reading, but not just practice tests, do a range of listening and reading. So read newspapers, listen to TED Talks, okay? So there's a number, different things you can do. Jonas says, are there answers for writing tasks as well on IELTS online test? Yes, there are, guys. So you can have a look on there and you can, look at the materials. They're free. Or if you need an assessment, you can have one of our experts, IELTS experts, assessors to give you a general assessment for writing or speaking. So that could be me or Jamie or any other of the people we have at Integrate and IELTS online tests. So they could give you a good idea of the areas you need to improve in. Okay, guys, thank you for attending today. And those of you who are taking the tests, good luck. I hope that you do well. And I guess at this point, those of you who celebrate Christmas, happy Christmas and best wishes for the new year. Okay, guys, bye for now.